sitting around here having dinner together, and they all turned green. They wouldn't tell me anything, but I went back home and I made a lot of phone calls around to people I knew and came to the conclusion that there were indeed offensive missiles, potentially nuclear, in Cuba by the Soviets. I called New York, talked to the desk at the New York Herald Tribune, my paper, and dictated a story. So as far as I know, that was the first hard story that there were indeed missiles in Cuba.
Time is running out. News is leaking. Kennedy has to make what will be the most important speech in his life.
President Kennedy will address the nation tonight on radio and television on a subject of the highest national urgency. The White House asked for the time shortly after noon today. The President has been engaged this morning in a number of meetings with key people in the administration.
Newspaper stories. In Moscow, speculation is also rife. Khrushchev is alerted by the foreign ministry, and the leading figures in the Communist Party are quickly assembled. They await the Soviet leader. A collective guessing game begins in the foyer. Have the missiles in Cuba been spotted? Has the whole thing been uncovered? Khrushchev is on his way to his headquarters, his mind occupied with many thoughts. Kennedy must know about the missiles, no doubt about it. How will Kennedy react? Should Khrushchev expect the worst?
If the American president gives in to pressure from his armed forces and mounts an attack on Cuba, then an invasion of 250,000 American troops could be stopped with one atomic bomb. Then the Americans would be dead. Their ship sunk. What would Kennedy do then? He would deploy his own nuclear weapons. But then what?
The United States is unaware that a short-range nuclear weapon is already in place on Cuba. Unlike the big bombs, these are tactical weapons designed for the battlefield. They're called Lunas. They can be used to eliminate thousands of attackers in one stroke. Could the Lunas trigger World War III?
The Americans didn't know. They didn't know anything about those tactical nuclear weapons on Cuba. If they had attacked, I believe the commander of our forces there, General Pliev, would have used those weapons.
In Havana, Fidel Castro is also preparing for the worst.
At noon on the 22nd, it was announced that Kennedy would be addressing the nation that night. And we knew as soon as we heard that it would concern Cuba because they have discovered the missiles. At 3:50 p.m., the armed forces were put on alert. At 5:45, the combat alarm was sounded, which means the men were in the trenches with weapons in their hands.